Mark Levin, nationally syndicated talk radio host of Levin TV, chairman of Landmark Legal Foundation, host of the Fox News show Life, Liberty, and Levin, author of 6 consecutive #1 New York Times bestsellers, Liberty and Tyranny, spent 3 months at #1, sold more than 1.5 million copies. American Marxism, I think, was the #1 best-selling book of the year. He's also an inductee of the National Radio Hall of Fame, top advisor to several members of President Ronald Reagan's cabinet. He holds a BA from Temple University, a JD from Temple University Law School, and he's on the program. It's on the program now to make me feel like a slug. Hello, Mark Levin. How are you?
Why are you reading all that stuff?
I'm just looking you up and just seeing all the things that you've accomplished, and then I started feeling bad, so I stopped reading.
Don't go to Wikipedia. That'll make you happy.
So, Mark,
They hate me. Yeah.
I wanted to. We're doing a special tonight on the FBI and how out of control justice and the FBI are, and they've been this way for a long time. I mean, when they started, they were corrupt. But we're seeing things with Donald Trump that should scare people to the core. And I don't think the average Democrat who's not a Marxist doesn't understand what is happening right now.
Well, first of all, they need to understand how corrupt their party is, because the FBI has been used by Democrat president after Democrat president in illegal ways, really starting with Franklin Roosevelt, who used the FDR against his political opponents, including within his own party. And they would collect dirt on his political opponents. He would use the IRS the same way, which is why adding 87,000 agents is a disaster. He unleashed the IRS on Andrew Mellon, who'd been the Treasury Secretary under Coolidge.
Yep.
Even the judge at the very end was wondering why he had this 10-year criminal investigation, because his Treasury Secretary ordered it at FDR's demand. And he used the FBI against a number of individuals and groups, including the media. Robert Kennedy did the same thing with John Kennedy. They used the FBI to tap Martin Luther King's phone, among others. And, of course, he used the IRS to collect data on his political opponents. Probably the worst was Lyndon Johnson. He used the FBI, the IRS, and the CIA. He even bugged Hubert Humphrey's phone when Hubert Humphrey was running for president in the Democrat primary. First he used it. He wanted to see if he was loyal or not. He used the FBI. He sent an FBI team to Atlantic City at the Democrat convention there to monitor Martin Luther King and other civil rights leaders to see if they were going to be attacking him, Lyndon Johnson, even though he wasn't running again. And then, of course, Nixon got caught doing some of the same things they did, but not nearly as much. But it didn't matter because he was a Republican. This attack on Trump is akin to the same pattern, but worse. It is constant. It's through his candidacy, his presidency, his post-presidency. As you undoubtedly know by now, you had 2 brilliant litigators, constitutional litigators, not these former federal prosecutors who are a dime a dozen and don't even understand the Constitution. And they made the point in the Wall Street Journal the other day, and they're right, that the Presidential Records Act allows the president to have access to classified and non-classified information. There's nothing in there about where he can have it, where he can store it. He can bring it home if he wants, and that's what he did. I've been arguing the president can't violate the Espionage Act. How can it violate the Espionage Act of 1917? When he's president, he says, all right, I'm taking these documents with me. You can't have a clearer statement of declassification than I'm taking these documents with me. But even if they're not declassified, as these gentlemen point out, it doesn't matter. In fact, he has exclusive use of these documents. Even the existing president can't just claim those documents unless they have an absolute significant reason to.
So they came out. They came out with. I think it was a general warrant, but they came out with this warrant, and then we started hearing that it's nuclear secrets and it's espionage, all this bullcrap. What is it that they were really looking for, and how do we shake off the chains of this government that is this corrupt?
Well, they wanted to grab everything, and so they come.
Wait. You're breaking up. I'm sorry. Say it again.
I'm sorry, the damn phone fell.
Yeah, that's all right.
I had this home in Florida. I'll just tell you in the country. It's like a box. Remember those old movies?
Yes.
The cement and the steel and everything else?
Yes.
I said to the builder, I'm only building this damn thing once. I don't care how many hurricanes we have here, and I don't care about FEMA.
Right.
Well, they said the rules in the state are 170 miles an hour. You have to go. I said, but the state isn't building my house. 210 miles an hour. That's what I want the house sustained to. So I poured all the money into the structure. I'm just pointing this out. So I have 8-inch thick cement, steel walls and floors.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it. And
Yeah.
pilings underneath. So we had to add additional systems so I could use my cell phone. But there's certain dead spots in this house. Anyway, do you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I do.
What was your question again?
My question is, what do you think they were looking for, and how do we shake the chains of this government that is so corrupt and out of control? It seems like we're cornered.
Well, a couple of things. You're right about the general warrant. This clearly violates the Fourth Amendment and the particularity requirement, which was crucial to the colonists and to the framers. If it doesn't violate it, I don't know what does. And so they walk in there and they grab everything. I think they're looking for anything. January 6th, of course, I've talked about that. I'm sure you have. Anything they can get their hands on. And now they find, and they knew there were classified documents in there, so they're trying to use criminal statutes on that. You bring in these hacks like Weissman and put them on TV, and very ignorant, low IQ hosts and news people who just keep talking about, hey, it's got 700 pages of documents, classified, 300 classified documents. Who cares? Who cares? And of course, the reason the government doesn't want to release the affidavit is they prefer to leak this stuff to the New York Times and the Washington Post in order to control it.
Correct.
Now, what do we do about this? You're not going to like this. We are in the abyss trying to claw our way out. It's not we're heading for the abyss. It's not that the country is unraveling. It's unraveled. And so the question is now, how do we deal with a political party that hates America, that takes every step possible to empower itself, that only uses the Constitution to defend itself or against their enemies, but otherwise has no respect or faith in the Constitution whatsoever?
And how do we defend ourselves and fix it by not becoming all that we despise and using the Constitution? How can we do that?
It's you've got to elect people, if not Trump, like Trump, who are willing to take them on, who can stand up to this. This is why so many people are attracted to him.
I know.
It's because he doesn't bend. He fights back. They try and take him out with impeachments and criminal investigations, DA investigations, state attorney investigations, tax investigations, property investigations. Now this crap with his home and his wife's closet and all the rest of it. That's why we have to defend him. Whether you like tweets or not is beside the point. Because if they take him down, who's going to fight for us? Seriously. Maybe DeSantis, don't you think he'll do the same thing?
I think DeSantis would do the same thing, but I will tell you the only one that has been tested in literally the fires of hell is Trump.
That's exactly right. And honestly, what did he do to deserve this? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He hasn't broken the law. If he's broken the law, don't you think they'd have him by now?
Yeah.
Rather than running around with obstruction and looking back at his property taxes 10 years ago and his income taxes 15 years ago. This is just all cracked. Nobody's examined like this. Imagine looking at the Pelosi taxes for 10 or 15 years. Or looking at the Biden, seriously, how he's been bought off by foreign governments.
So
none of these politicians could withstand this, but Trump withstands it.
So, Mark, I only have 2 minutes. Unless you can stay after the break. I know you're busy. Which do you prefer, 2 minutes, or let me break and then come back?
No, we can stay after the break. I'm talking to the great Glenn Beck.
Okay, hang on just a second. Mark, I'm really frustrated because if we don't get the House and the Senate, there's almost nothing that the House can do except, block people like Nancy Pelosi and shut everything out, but they can't actually reverse anything, can they? Constitutionally, if we only have the House, what can we accomplish?
Well, we can stop things, you're right, but
Yeah.
we can't move the ball forward. And in the Senate, we also have another problem in addition to the filibuster, which I happen to support. We have Mitch McConnell, who is in and of himself a filibuster against conservatives. You might remember in 2010 how he hated the Tea Party movement.
Oh, yeah, he still does.
Well, he hates the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
In 1976 and 80, he was a Gerald Ford guy, and he was never really a Reagan guy. He worked in the Ford Justice Department briefly. This guy is quintessential Washington rhino. And just ask yourself, what are the Republicans running on in the Senate? You don't even know, because they haven't coalesced around a message, because the guy's not a leader. But he raises a ton of money. They changed the law a few years back.
And he controls the money for all the other senators.
The thing. Yes, he does. And so he controls the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which can take in hundreds of thousands of dollars per donor. Used to be a limit of 30-some thousand. He put a rider on, I think it was Obamacare or something like that, and he changed that to empower himself. He has no capacity to communicate with the average American, the American people. He always talks like he has a salami sandwich in his mouth or something. You know, and
hey, I want to ask you. You said you were for the filibuster. I'm for the filibuster. However, I would be for changing the filibuster back to the way it originally was, where it was Mr. Smith goes to Washington. You actually have to stand on the floor and filibuster. Now the Democrats, if I'm not mistaken, changed it so you can just say, "I'm going to filibuster," and everybody goes home.
Well, that's true. They threatened to filibuster. I don't know how we change that, since the Senate can make its own rules.
Well,
we can't even change the Republican leader in the Senate right now, and I think that's the start. We've got to have younger, newer, vibrant people who come to Washington, know their terms are limited, and have as their purpose to
he's walking around again.
Defense or we're always playing defense, or we're always on our backs are against the wall. These guys, they come in, they have, or they, like in the Senate. 1 second.
Get away from the concrete and the metal.
No, it's FedEx. I have to.
Okay.
Thank you. You want to know the truth?
I love talking to you.
And as a matter of fact, they now require your birth date. Every damn time it's the same person who shows up. They want my birth date. It used to be you could say, just leave the box. Now it's, I want your signature, your birth date. And what the hell is it? Anyway.
All right, last thing, because I've only got about a minute. Last thing, what are you seeing coming, reading the tea leaves, especially from last night? What are you seeing in the House and the Senate?
First of all, I see media that's so loaded with propaganda. They find this seat in New York, and they say, this is indicative and illustrative of everything that's happening. Correct. So the Democrat wins by the skin of their teeth. You look around the rest of the country, the Republicans did very well. You look in Florida, they did extremely well. Mm-hmm. Conservatives are doing well. People need to keep their chin up. They have to ignore the media. Ignore them. They're corrupt. They hate us. And fight and organize and be your own precinct worker and block captain. You got to work harder than ever before. They're going to do everything they can to stop us. But don't be dispirited or demoralized by these fools in the media, because that's what they'll do to you.
Mark Levin.
We have a very good shot at doing very well, but we'll see.
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it. We'll talk again soon. It's Mark Levin from Levin TV. You can hear him on radio. You can also catch his show every day, Levin TV, here on Blaze TV. Join us. Become a part of the family. BlazeTV.com/Glenn. Use the promo code Glenn and save tonight. The FBI exposed. 9 p.m.